Hello everybody. Welcome to the run I know we've all been waiting for, the Fairly OddParents run. Probably not, just me? Alright, that's okay. I'm very excited to be here. Hope y'all are having a good morning or evening or whatever time it is from where you're watching. We're going to be doing any percent today. It's going to skip 2 levels. It's not too long, not too short. Let me just get my timer set up here and we can get started and test this, make sure it's working. Yep. Alright. So we're gonna start off with a new game. I'm gonna pull out my memory card. So we don't need saving. This is a speed run. Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so if you've never seen this game before, if you know nothing about Fairly OddParents Showdown, it is a really goofy 3D platformer based around Fairly OddParents. There's some basic movement in the game. You have walking, you also have running, where you have like a stamina bar that depletes as you run. And that is a very important aspect of the speedrun, is managing your stamina, because there's a lot of tricks that we do that you need stamina for, and if you try to go into it without stamina, you'll usually fail it or die. Oop, almost fell. So this first section is like the tutorial level, right? So they're teaching us how to jump and double jump and run and all that stuff. And so we're just going to platform through here as quick as we can. There's our first trick of the run here. It's RNG. We're going to go for it. We did not get it. So that star that's running away will sometimes stay right where it spawns, which makes it much faster to grab. And the reason we're picking up stars is because basically every time you collect 3 stars in this game, it allows you to get a wish from your fairy godparents. And so the only wish in tutorial is something we're about to see here, which is the worst wish in the game, in my opinion. It just controls really terribly, and is very hard to use. Like, definitely not intentionally hard to use. But it's a slingshot that we're gonna hit these targets with, but it likes to not fire. It also likes to fire at weird angles. So it's pretty like imprecise. You kind of have to be like perfectly lined up for it to hit 100% of the time. Otherwise, the bullets like sway back and forth in the air, and so it can cause you to miss what appears to be a perfect shot. So I jump back towards the door here because it puts me inside of a cutscene trigger that will basically allow me to skip watching a cutscene. Usually there's 2 cutscenes that play at the end of tutorial, but the second one will overwrite the first one if you're in the trigger for it, which is right by the door. All right, so now we are in Fairy World, or Fairly Disastrous. We, again, only need 1 wish for this level. Every level except for tutorial has 3 wishes. And those correlate to 3 items or abilities that only are available in that level. And we only need the first one for this level. So I'm gonna get, that's a kind of a tight jump there to get it without grabbing, but it saves like about 1.5 seconds. You might notice I'm gonna do some like run jumps off of some of the collision around, like some of the like banks and stuff, because it'll give you like a bounce that bounces you more forward than a normal jump, like right there. I actually overshot it. So that's the first big skip of the game. Very easy. Just a run jump off of that barricade skips needing to go get the first item. I'm going to run around the edge here to go around a cutscene trigger. You'll notice that we can skip most of the cutscenes, but even skipping them takes a little bit of time. So if you can run around the trigger, it's usually better. All right, so this is gate skip. This is the first big out of bounds. So we are now on the other side of this gate that you usually open by completing the whole level. And now it looks like we're running on nothing here. There's a bridge that spawns when the gate opens. The collision for the bridge is always here. It's just the texture that loads, which allows us to basically skip the entire level, because the only item we need for the boss is this item. All right, this is kind of a tight trick, so I'm going to be quiet for a moment. All right, we got it. That is a 2-frame trick. Basically, if you pause on the first or second frame of that cutscene, and select skip, you notice that Cosmo and Wanda were talking there, and that dialogue would normally play during a cutscene, and this cutscene lasts a little over 1 minute long. And so basically you get out of the cutscene by skipping it on the right frame. Oh, I overbounced here. 3, is it 3? 4. Nope, I did it again. It was 3. Oh no. Alright, there we go. I accidentally messed that up a little bit. That only loses a little bit of time. But as I was saying, it'll pop you out of the cutscene. But usually it'll take you back into the cutscene if you don't do something to overwrite the cutscene playing. And so what we do is we walk backwards towards the entrance of the level, which spawns the boss's health bar. And when you spawn the health bar, he begins some dialogue that begins normally right when the cutscene ends, and that overwrites the cutscene playing, allowing us to skip it. Little complicated, but basically you skip the cutscene on the first 2 frames and you don't have to watch it. It is a bit tough. You notice I used a little bit of a setup there to kind of get it. Basically, we don't have good setups for this game like you have in like Ocarina of Time, because a lot of the movement is just like it varies in how much it'll move you. So there, what I do is I basically get right on the edge of the cutscene, and then I press B to dive, and then I roll my thumb from dive to start in order to try to like basically hit start like a frame or 2 after I hit B, and usually that works. It's a pretty big reset point though. All right, so this is Take It on the Chin. This is my favorite level of the run, my favorite level in the game. All right, we missed that star, but that's okay. We're gonna get it in a minute. We're doing this level in a very silly order that they definitely did not intend. We are getting the second wish first. It looks like the first wish on the layout, but it's actually the second one that they mean for you to get. That's kind of a tough trick there where you, the box or that barrel will like push you off of it when you jump on top of it, and you can abuse that momentum to jump on top of that like smokestack without needing to push a box, which takes a long time. All right, so I just got a pogo stick, which is going to be very useful in a moment here. I'm going to go for another trick here to grab this star before it like runs to the end of that little sidewalk. And then this is why we got the pogo stick first. We can skip this like box pushing puzzle and also skip a really big ladder by hopping up this collision here. And then we use another trick to get out of the pogo to get just enough forward momentum to get up there, which is called a wish cancel, where you basically mash B and L while using a wish, and it'll cancel it. And that is, we believe that's a glitch, but it's not 100% for sure. All right, first really big glitch of the run. It's called infinite hover, which is basically we got an object that allows us to hover, and if you press hover and the menu to open the wish, like your wish menu, at the same time, you'll use the wish and put it away at the same time, which means that you don't need to use fuel to use it. It just is infinite. So you notice I jumped on top of that wall panel there. That was to get a really specific height value so I can get through this door without triggering a cutscene. Now I'm going to try to do a really difficult trick here. I'll explain it if I get it or if I don't, but I only have one chance. Oh, I was like 2 frames early, unfortunately. So this is a frame perfect trick where if you use the glider on the very first frame of a cutscene, you will gain height during the entire cutscene. That was an unfortunate hit from him there. They shoot kind of randomly. And it would allow me to skip the next few rooms that we're going to do. It's a very new trick. It's something that I discovered, like, I want to say like 2 or 3 months ago. And it's currently, there's only like 1 or 2 runs that have ever used it that were submitted to the leaderboard. It's very difficult to execute. And there's 3 places in this stage where we want to do it. So yeah, we'd be able to skip this room. Which it only saves. I was unfortunate I didn't make it quite up onto that ledge. It only saves about 30 seconds, but that's for a world record attempt, that's substantial. Like for me, if I can get all the glider climbs in this level and finish the run, it would likely be world record, because world record does not use them. So there's another item we're supposed to have. It's a freeze ray that will turn the hippos into platforms, but I'm going to infinite hover instead because we don't have the freeze ray. And then I'm going to jump up here. We missed the good cycle because I missed that trick, but that's okay. Oh no, we're going to miss another cycle, unfortunately. That hover is actually kind of tight. I might be able to make this cycle if I'm really fast. No, I don't think so, actually. You can also get up here by going like this, but it's a little bit sketchier, so we usually don't do that, but I'm trying to save a little. I was trying to see if I could get onto this cycle. The elevator cycle is a pretty big limiter for the first bit of this run, because you can only make certain elevator cycles. Oh, I went for kind of a risky strat there. It didn't really pan out. It usually works, but occasionally you'll miss that run jump. It's a little tight. I'm just going to hover this time. This game has a lot of strats that are risky that you can go for that will like not save a ton of time, but over the course of a whole run could save a lot of time. If you do them in a couple different places. I'm also down to 1 health right now, which is a little uncomfortable. Because there's a couple places I could die coming up here. But also, a nice thing, dying in this game is super painless. It's not punishing at all. So we're going to do another infinite hover here to get across. You can actually make this without an infinite hover, just with a normal hover, but it's really tight. Alright, if he would have hit me, that would have been a problem. So I'm really glad I was able to escape that shot. I'm going to go for another glider climb here. It's not necessary. It only saves about 20 seconds. Oh, I was 1 frame early. So you can use the sound cues for the glider to figure out how many frames off you are, which is kind of nice for practicing. I was 1 frame off there, which was pretty unfortunate. But if I had gotten it, basically during the cutscene of watching the platforms come out of the wall, you would have saw me rise through the middle of the room all the way to the top. Oh boy, that was an unfortunate jump. I'm going to use the pogo here to skip a bit of the ladder. These jumps are a little tight. I'm going to take it safe for that one, and then run jump over here. All right, and then we've got a couple more glitches coming up here. There's a lot of glitches back to back in this run. So I'm going to do a glitch here called Earllgray to skip the first cutscene that plays when I enter this room. You'll notice they're talking. It's supposed to be a cutscene. I'm supposed to be stuck at the door right now. But I set myself up over at this corner, and I'm going to try to go for the last glider climb possible, which would skip the entire boss fight. Alright, unfortunately I didn't get any of the glider climbs. Very sad, but you know what? It's totally fine. So this one is very difficult because it's basically RNG. The way that cutscenes work in this game is they often play in like batches where you'll get like one cutscene and then another one and then another one, but they seem seamless if you're casually playing through the game. And so so there's 2 cutscenes there, and basically there's 2 frames in between them. And if you use the glider on the second of those 2 frames, you'll get a glider climb all the way up to the end of this boss fight. Basically what we're doing right now is we have to go around and hit all these buttons to hurt Olga. But it's actually a lot faster if instead of pressing the first button first, we press the last button first. Which I will explain and show you shortly. So I'm basically running around technically out of bounds, and there's a bunch of holes in the ground that will make sense in a minute. That basically the collision is not there, but the texture is. That's a really tight jump. That was a little close. But basically, I was able to do a bunch of really precise pogos on those tanks. And you'll see here in this cutscene that's going to play that the first tank that I bounced off of at the first button is going to fall. And it's going to allow you to progress to the next button. Which is why we have to do the 3rd button first, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do that trick where we jump up. Otherwise, we'd have to run around this room like 5 or 6 times to get up to the top, which takes forever. But now that we're all the way up here, I can just jump down to the 2nd button, and then I can jump back down to the 3rd button. And so it's literally faster to go all the way up and all the way back down than to go up the intended way, because of how long it takes to run around this room. Yeah, these cutscenes are pretty long. If you've got a donation, this is a good time.
I'd like to let you know as well that the timer has stopped.
Oh no.
It's alright, I was just letting you know because the chat was talking about it earlier.
I have another timer on screen that you might be able to grab from if you want. I think I messed up the way I had my live split set up. So I accidentally, when I split, I paused the timer. Like it's gonna restart now. Sorry about that. My live split's a little complicated.
Okay. I was just figured I'd let you know as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Switch it over.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do whatever you feel is good. But yeah, the timer might start and stop a little bit. Sorry about that, y'all. I set up my live split incorrectly and I didn't realize until just now. So this is the longest cutscene that we have to watch. It's the only one we can't skip that's like really long. So yeah, if you've got any donations, this is another great time.
It doesn't look like any more donations have come in, but I'll still take the time to talk about the charity this event is supporting is Stack Up to help the mental health of veterans through gaming. You can do !charity in the chat to learn more and donate. You don't have to do !stack up to learn about it, I believe. But of course, if you are not able to donate, that is alright. These times are quite troubling.
Definitely a great cause. Glad that we can be here to support it. Alright, so we're gonna do a first... Oh, just messed up the first trick of this level. So this is Dad's dream. The plot is Dad is asleep and we need to wake him up. So these suits are basically like key doors where you need an item to get past them, but a number of them we can just run past with some tight movement by running against walls and stuff. And so basically we're supposed to go around and like do all these platforming puzzles to like get to these levers that we pull that like wake Dad up, but we can do some out of bounds platforming to skip that. So I'm gonna jump up here onto this goofy pipe thing, and then I'm gonna jump over here. This is called Dad Skip, by the way. This is one of the biggest barriers to learning the game, because you kind of need to learn this. Basically, I am jumping across a seam, the seam of a collision there, in order to get over here. Oh, I don't know if I made it. Oh, I almost saved it, but we weren't able to. That was an unfortunate way to... That's honestly the easiest part of the trick, too, which is unfortunate. I already did the hard part, but I just wanted to show it to you guys again. It's so cool. I figured you might want to see it again in case you missed it. But yeah, this is one of the harder tricks to learn when you're first starting, but honestly, there's like a couple different ways to do it, and some of them are easier than others. There's a setup that I found that makes it like really easy, but it just like it adds a bit of time. Great for beginners, but like for myself now, I just do the full Dad Skip the normal way just because it's faster. Alright, and then I'm going to skip some cutscenes here, and then I'm going to try to jump back towards the platform I was on before. If you make it, it's like a little bit faster than dying here, because normally we just want to die here because it resets our position back to over here. But if you can make that run jump, you don't have to wait for Timmy to like get up from the death animation, and it saves like a quarter of a second. But it's like you can't mess it up, because if you mess it up, it's just the normal strat. So that's kind of a nice trick. I'm gonna try to do the suit skip in reverse. It's pretty tight. I always get caught there right at the end. It's a lot harder to do that one backwards than forwards. All right, so now we're actually gonna get some wishes. Unfortunately, I have to get all the wishes in this level. You'll see why in a little bit. Oh, I tried to do a little trick there to bait that star into the corner and then grab it. It usually works, but I just barely missed it. That's fine. Only loses like half a second. So you'll notice there's yellow and purple here, and that's because the purple stars are triggered to spawn after we completed that last like that lever that we pulled, and the yellow spawn at the beginning. So normally they're not supposed to both be there at once. All right, so this is a magnet gun that just like disintegrates these boxes. That's the only one that we have to get through, but we need it for that. And also this weapon is what allows us to damage the boss of the stage. The light bulb that you saw me grab is like not technically required, but it only takes like an extra second or two to get, and it makes a couple things a lot easier. And basically the light bulb like attracts moths that you then use. You walk over to a suit and the moth will eat the suit. So that was what I was talking about with how suits are kind of like doors that need keys, and the light bulb is the moths are the keys, but you need the light bulb to pick it up. You notice I'm doing a lot of run jumping here. It's because when you jump after running, your stamina bar regenerates while you're in the air. So it's a good way to regenerate stamina while you continue to move. You can just chain them to keep your movement speed up throughout the level. This level has a lot of movement. It's very movement intensive just because there's a lot of these like long hallways, which I mean, I guess the gimmick is that like a lot of people talk about like walking down long hallways in dreams and stuff, but it's like it's not fun. All right, so this is the last item that we get for this level. It's the action klaxon, which is the most annoying item. It's just an air horn. This item also has a bit of an issue where there's a platform coming up here that we have to use that can crash the game, and we don't know why. Luckily, I have a backup save in case that happens. So we're fine, but in a run, this is a pretty scary point to be at. So this is the easiest suit skip. If I just run against the wall, he can't catch me. This is kind of a tight trick here. I'm going to do a really tight run jump over this gap. I'm going to do a little bit of a setup here by grabbing these edges. It's a pretty tight jump, but not too terrible to learn. All right, so this is where the game could crash, right here. That launch pad that I just used sometimes will just crash the game. We don't know why. Oh, that's really unfortunate. I can't remember the last time I've fallen there. That's a pretty easy jump, but that's just an unfortunate fall. I'm actually not really sure why I fell. I should have grabbed the ledge there. All right, again, I just wanted to show you guys that cool jump again. I think that looks pretty neat. I was really worried it was going to crash the game that time. I've never, like, had to go over that twice because I never missed this jump. All right, we got a health back, too, which is good. Having 1 health's a little scary. All right, I'm going to do another suit skip here. This is one of the hardest ones. You have to, like, bait it out. Oh, I just barely missed. You have to, like, bait it out and then run around it. Like, kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, kite it. You have to kite it out. All right, that was pretty good. All right, and then I'm going to do another little skip here. There's this, like, long, like, platform puzzle, but you can skip literally all of it by jumping on top of the trophy. You almost always grab there. Getting the not grab there is, like, frame perfect. I'm honestly blown away that I just got that and then fell off. That's all right, though. I just wasn't expecting it. But you got to kind of do a tight jump to grab that, and then you can jump over to that ledge on the right to make this jump a little faster, but it's kind of scary. And then I'm going to jump on this wall. I'm going to catch this platform to jump up here, which is a little skip. And then I'm going to skip the last suit by jumping over this gap, which I missed. My angle was a little wide there. I probably should have taken that a little safe. But that's all right. That's honestly not a very costly death. That only loses about 10 seconds. I just need to be a little more conservative with my angle here. See, that was free. Oops, I can't skip that cutscene. I do that sometimes on accident. All right, so now the reason we did all this is so we could make a boat out of that hot dog. And we need the boat because there's a big robot in the background of the, like, hub, and we are taking the boat over to the robot so we can fight it. So here is there's a dumb part coming up. There is 2 auto-scrollers in this game. We will skip the next one by not doing the level that it's in. But this one we have to do. So a little interesting fact about these auto-scrollers is that they actually exist like much outside of the main level, like really far out of bounds. You can find all this collision if you use like a double jump cheat. And you can like get in and like you'll notice like I can only go to the edge here. That's because there's like invisible walls and you can actually get inside this box and like run around in it. It's kind of goofy. We found that out because we found the one in the other stage. But yeah, if this is also a decent time for donations if we have any.
Sorry, I was looking.
Oh, you're okay.
Watching. Again, does not look like any more has come in, but again, I'll bring up the charity, stack up, is to help the mental health of veterans through gaming. We'll learn more about it with exclamation point stack up. And of course, if you would like to donate rather, you can do exclamation point charity. But of course, if you are not able to, do not feel pressured.
You'll notice throughout this auto-scroller that I'm kind of like going into the edges and like clipping into the collision. It's just a way to make this a little more interesting. The collision in these auto-scrollers are really bad. Because it's like constantly pushing you. Also, it defaults there to play again, yes. Which like, who would want to play that again? Just saying. Alright, so I switched to the magnet just because I need it for the fight. And it just makes it a little quicker so I don't have to do that once I get in the fight here. Also, yes, the screen is black for a really long time here. We don't know why. It just takes forever to load. Alright, so basically, I gotta grab bolts from that bucket of bolts walking around. And I have to hit this guy with this wrecking ball. And so after I get the last hit on him, you'll notice I'm gonna run over and grab another bullet. And it'll like magnetize to me after the cutscene is skipped. Which is pretty convenient, and it saves a little bit of time of needing to grab another one. And if I get here in time, I can get both of these before he even gets here. Also, you'll notice I'm like waiting a bit through the cutscene to skip it. That is on purpose. Because if you skip that cutscene on the first frame available, you'll get like a soft lock. It's not technically a soft lock because you can get out of it. But it is, it loses like 35 to 40 seconds if you get it. I'm just gonna stay over here and grab some bolts, because I need a full 5 for this last shot. Alright. Out of Dad's Dream. That is my least favorite split. There's just so many places the run can die there. As you saw, there's a couple tricks I messed up on, and like if I mess up on any of those in a world record attempt, I've reset. So a lot of very reset heavy level. This is a really cool level coming up. This used to be the most boring level in the run, in my opinion, and we knew about an out of bounds in this level for quite a while, but we didn't know how to make it useful because we didn't really know how to navigate out of bounds. We didn't know like how to trigger, we didn't know how to get back inbounds, which was a problem because we didn't have a way to like trigger the end of the level without getting back inbounds. But we figured out recently we don't need to get back in bounds. And so I'm going to show you a pretty cool trick here. Again, we only need one wish for this stage. Also, this is the last real stage of the run. We only have the final boss after this. But this is a fun one to end on now. So we got to go through this haunted mansion and get some stars. Fun fact, I rented this game as a kid. I didn't actually own it, but I rented it like 2 or 3 times. And I had nightmares about this stage, about this mansion, and specifically about this wish that we're about to get. I used to have nightmares about it as a kid. I'm doing a trick here where I'm trying to skip pushing that box all the way over. Basically, like, Timmy, when you start, like, walking, it takes him a minute to build up full speed. But if you walk against a wall and then, like, whip the stick back around, your speed is already at full speed when you turn around. Because you can build up speed against a wall. And so that allows you to have just enough momentum to, like, only have to push that box, like, twice instead of, like, 5 times. Alright, this is a room that I've been struggling with lately, but I'm gonna get it this time. We have to hit a bunch of buttons in a row in order to release a cage that is holding a star. It's really easy to fall here and then need to redo the whole puzzle because of the timer. So I'm being a little safe. Because I fell here, like, twice in practice recently. Usually this was not something I struggled with either. It's kind of goofy. I also just recently found out you can skip that cutscene. For some reason, I thought that one wasn't skippable until like, literally like a week ago. And so I watched it forever. All right, so here's this wish. It allows us to flip the room upside down. Which honestly is like pretty cool. I really like the mechanic. It works really well in this level. But it's also pretty broken. So I didn't know that as a kid, but that's what I'm here to show you guys today. So I'm going to stand in a specific spot here that's going to line me up for the trick. And I'm going to basically flip the room and fall into a cutscene after I flip the room. That was meant for me to be seen with the room in the other orientation. And now it put me in the right... Basically, when you go into a cutscene, it will spawn you into a specific location. And so it spawned me at that location, but the room was upside down. And so it spawned me on the wrong side of the floor. And now I'm out of bounds. So I'm going to spawn this room here. And then... This might look like some nonsense, but basically I'm navigating around a bunch of stuff out of bounds that would be normally a big headache for us in the speedrun. I'm going to do a trick here where I slide off of that platform while using the wish, which gets me just enough over that platform. There's a bunch of invisible death planes there that you have to avoid, and that was why I had to do that thing where I, like, go off the edge. This is a bit of a risky one here, too, but there's a good setup for it. I'm going to fall, and then I'm going to do this. Do the same trick where I fall off the edge and use it in order to get on top of this really quickly. And this is usually where you would spawn the final boss. Is you jump in there and it takes you to the final boss room. But I'm going to spawn the final boss room by going over there and then looking up. And then I'm just going to fall right on top of it. And now I'm outside the final boss room, but I can clip in to the room just enough to start the fight. And now we are in the final boss room. That is my favorite trick in the game right now. It's a newer trick that we recently were able to make viable. Because at first the problem was that we didn't know how to get back in bounds, and the problem was that it was actually slower than doing it in bounds. But with enough optimizations, we were able to make it where it's basically within like 1 to 2 seconds of the inbounds route. But inbounds is significantly harder to do fast. There's a lot more tight platforming inbounds than there is out of bounds. Not to mention the out of bounds looks really cool. And I personally think speedruns should look cool. Alright, so this boss, I have to, like, position over top of these boxes and then flip the room so the box lands on top of them. But I have to wait for them to shoot this lightning, like, 3 times before I can flip the room. You're meant to, like, push the boxes around, but it's actually easier if you just draw them over like this, so they're, like, mostly over top of it. And then you just draw them out a little bit so you can see their shadow. And then you flip it. As long as the back of their shadow is, like, barely near the box, it'll work. But if they are, like, perfectly on top of the box, it will not work. So the hitboxes here are a little goofy and take a little bit of getting used to. But once you get it, it's, like, not a big deal at all. I think that'll work. I might have pushed him back too far. Nope, we're good. It's pretty generous, but sometimes you just miss it and you're like, he was right on top of it. What happened? And, like, you just, I don't know. It seems kind of random sometimes when it misses. All right, that should be good. Should have got all 4 hits there. Yep, good job. I tried to do a little trick there. If you ground pound on that boss after you kill it in the right spot, you can clip into them for like a second. It's kind of goofy looking, but it's pretty hard to do actually. All right. Last trick of the game here. So you'll notice there's 2 more levels we're supposed to do. We're not going to do those because they put this desk here. And so we can just jump over this wall. With the same momentum storage I was telling you about earlier with running against a wall. Allows us to get just enough speed to hop over that, and we're at the final boss. Highly recommend checking out all levels. The 2 levels we skip here are actually really cool. I've actually been mostly running all levels lately. It's a lot of fun. This is a pretty quick boss. Don't blink. I'm going to manipulate his movements as well. So basically I have to turn the light on that he's facing, and then I have to stomp on his foot. Oh wow, I missed it because I dove instead of ground pounding. It's the same button. So I'm going to manipulate him to stay at the same button by going over here. He's going to try to push me back, but I'm going to ground pound. And then he's going to stay at the same button because of where I was standing, which makes it faster than when he moves. If he moves, you lose time. So if I stand to like the left of this button, he'll stay at the one he's at. Oh, so he moved there, but it's because I ran too quickly. If you move really quickly, he will move to a different button. Alright, last hit. And time is going to be when I hit his foot. Alright. So that was Fairly OddParents Shadow Showdown in 32 minutes flat. It was 30. My final time, I'm sorry about the timer getting messed up. My final time was 32 minutes and 910 milliseconds. So that's about 5 minutes off my PB. Right now I'm aiming for world record, which is currently 25:28 by Kurovi. Kurovi has always held the world record in this game. No one has ever had it besides them. And so I'm aiming to dethrone them. But we would love it if anybody wanted to come hang out with us in Discord. We've got a Discord for this game. There's also a Discord for Fairly OddParents speedruns for all the games. There's a number of them. But it's a great game if you're just getting into speedrunning. This was the first speed game that I got really into. And it's because it's really beginner friendly because most of the tricks are optional. You really don't need to do them. Like all the really hard stuff is really not needed unless you're trying to go for world record. So also there's a lot of good backups and a lot of good like secondary strats. It's a very easy game to get into, especially if you're new to speedrunning. So if you're interested, come hit us up in Discord. We're happy to help. Also, I am currently working on a tutorial video for any percent in all levels that is updated with new strats. If you're watching this on YouTube, it is out by that, but it'll be out by that time. But if you're watching this live today with us, then you can hope to see that in about 2 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Again, I've been Earllgray. It's been a pleasure here. Thank you so much to GSA for having this marathon, for supporting such a great charity. Great work that they do here. So stick around. Plenty of great runs to come in today. So I hope y'all have a great, wonderful day or morning or evening or whatever time it is with you. And I'll throw that back to you guys. Thanks again.